Week 13, I think. I changed it to weeks, and who knows. So instead of talking about quarantine and coronavirus stuff, we'll just talk about bookwork. Overall, I think that ARCs, I say that and then I'm going to talk about quarantine. We're doing fine, and the days are just like up and down as far as emotions on my end. Like sometimes I'm totally fine and forget about stuff, and I'm having a normal day, and then later in the day I'm just like consumed with like grief and sadness, kind of. So that's what it's like for us. It's pretty challenging, everybody being in the house. That was a challenge for me anyway before, but again, whatever. Okay, so bookwork wise, I hope you guys are doing okay. Speaking of that, please let me know how you are. I always love a wider view and perspective. I don't look at a lot of media, so I'm just not really seeing a lot. Anyway, okay. Bookwork. So I had a few days that were really hard that I feel like it was a release day last Friday, and then I had to ship on Saturday. So kind of per my normal Pretty by JL work, I had to work during early hours of the morning. So I haven't done a ton of bookwork, but I have been getting up every day. I have been trying. So with the exception of a couple days, I have done the work every morning. It's just going along at a creeper pace. I have to remind myself that even at a creeper pace, progress is progress, and it's going to get done. It's just that nowhere near is it. I've kind of let go of all expectation of when it will get done. Because what I've noticed with this pass, I've really zoomed into the work, and each paragraph, each scene, I'm crafting and paying a ton of attention to. So I'm really zoomed in, and what I feel like is I start to get some anxiety, and I'm like, oh crud, when I back up, I don't know if I've got everything. I know I don't have everything. I'll have to add, and I know that adding stuff, that is crazy to me because I'm well over 400 pages by now. So the thing is going to be so long, which means then stuff is going to come out. And when I start to think about the big picture, I get overwhelmed. So I remind myself, just keep working on the details of this pass to at least write this well. And then what I've decided, since I don't know when I finish, when I get through this first pass and I feel like, okay, I have filled in the shell. Like I've taken the framework and I've filled it in, and now we have a house, a scene, a yard, whatever. I'm gonna need some eyes on it. I feel like I'm gonna want some help. So I don't think it will be ready for first readers, because I think I'm going to have to, there's a whole nother round of stuff, like moving stuff around, cutting stuff. What do I need to write to add to fill in a gap that makes it flow in some way? I don't know. But so what I'm thinking is, when I get through this, I'm going to print 2 copies, one for my coach, Valerie, if you see this, and then Valerie's husband, Bill, who was the literature professor, the only person that I've talked to about this at all that has experience with this stuff. So I think that's what I'm going to do I think so. I'm far away. But the other thing I remind myself is it's taken me, 20 years to live the story to this point. So if it takes me a couple years to write it, it just takes me a couple years to write it. That's just the way that it is. And so also, what was the other thing I was going to tell you in that arena? I don't know. Anyway, my friend Vanessa, though, last week I was pretty down just with this whole coronavirus thing, like not understanding how scared I should be, and just feeling, just having this whole spectrum of emotions wrapped around these uncertain, strange times. And she was so sweet to comment, and she was like, just read to us, read something to us. And so that kind of gave me a little bit, like, even just that knowing one person, like, is following along. I mean, I'm talking to 10 of you probably right now that are kind of following along. And that's cool. I mean, that's just that little bit of support. So not to put all of that on your shoulders, Vanessa, if you see this, but I mean, that was super helpful for me. So that gave me some little extra oomph when I was doing my book work. And I have written some really cool things lately that I've been proud of and that I would like to share. One of the things that I get weird about with the sharing is, like, the book's 400 pages long, right? And there is a story, and I do believe there's some relevance. Oh, this is what I was going to say a minute ago. But with the way, like, I write in real time, and it's a memoir, which, see, memoir, I've heard other authors, so many people lately, I've been hearing them pronounce it memoir. Like Liz Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. Like, just the other day, I watched a video, and she said memoir. So anyway, I don't know what the heck, but that's what feels natural to me, so I'm just going to do that for now, today. Okay. So anyway, but I don't know how, since I'm still living this, like, there isn't a conclusion, and that makes me nervous too. Like, a lot of people, when they're writing a memoir, there's something that they're writing about in real time that's a challenge or whatever, and it's like, I'm kind of like, there's all this past stuff that works me up, and then there's the real time stuff that is, it's like all the past stuff, but it's real time instead. And so I don't know what the answer is to that. I don't know what the conclusion is for this book or story. And so that's kind of, it makes me wonder, it's like, well, what's the freaking point? But whatever. I'm not entertaining those types of negative ideas. The point is that I feel called to write it, so I will continue, and I have been. Okay, I'm going to share something. This scene, I feel like since I shared the Billy Goat scene with you, like, that was crappy-ish for, like, who we're referring to as Henry. And then so I feel like this is another, like, crappy-ish scene towards who we're referring to as Henry. But it's super, again, like everything else, there's this stuff that comes before, and then there's this stuff that comes after, and when it's all put together, the story will be told. And, like, I feel like I'm a better person now than I used to be, but I have never not been a good person. And I say that genuinely, like, I've definitely been selfish more the younger I was, but, like, not ever disloyal or out to hurt anybody or take advantage of someone, or, you know what I mean? Like, my spirit's not ever been that way. I have grown as a human, but I'm still growing every single day, which is like, well, that's why I don't know what the conclusion is to this yet. So anyway, I'm going to read this scene to you, and the reason that it's I've really enjoyed working on this. I want your help with it. I could use some feedback. I want to know if it sounds hokey. Specifically, there's one thing I could really use feedback on. So I'll get through it, and then I'll ask you afterwards. What makes it so relevant, and again, I'm very hard to follow with how I talk. Just imagine being inside my head, like, all over the place. But, like, I wasn't at bars drinking all the time, like, dancing with other guys. Like, I did that, like, twice, and I'm going to read you, like, I read you one, and now I'm going to read to you again the other one. And so I just want to let you know that that's not what was normal, but what makes this scene so relevant to this story is that this particular instance was the catalyst for big change in my life. So it played a huge role. It was kind of like the line in the sand. It was what, and I won't read you like there's this, I will tell the story, I will continue, but I just want to let you know that it's big. It's one of my big moments that where I was at that time in my life, it forced me to look at internally and ask myself some hard questions, and I answered some hard truths, and then that's what put some change into motion, which changed everything, my life, totally. So anyway, this has been wildly long. We're at 10 minutes already, but we're all in quarantine and whatever. Like, I'm not feeling bad about a long video today. So anyway, I'm going to pull up the scene and read this to you, and then I'll check back in with you. Per always, I look kind of funny because I can't see myself and I'm up close to the computer staring at my manuscript. There's some stuff that's going to need work still. Okay, so I will set this up just a fuzz. So my good friend Amy, we went out on the town for a bachelorette night out, and I organized it. And this was when I was 27. So I'm not going to read you. There's more about her night, her bachelorette night, but I'm going to start kind of like mid bachelorette night. I just feel it's like, it seems like I'm so boy crazy with what I've been reading you, but aren't we all? I guess that's how we grow as humans in a population, or whatever I'm trying to say. Okay, let me see here. Oh, do I want to read you that paragraph? Let me see here, you guys. Sorry for the delay. See, I don't even think I'm going to read you this paragraph. Oh, so I'm really just sort of starting in the middle of a scene. But okay, so here we go. We were at the Wild Horse in Durango. Okay. I stood there with a beer in my hand, thinking about what a fun night out it had been. I was wearing my favorite flared diesel jeans and a harlot-fitted black tee. Scrawled across the front in metallic bronze ink were the words, Mi bicicleta o mi muerte. Written in Spanish, they translated to my bike or my death in English. The words were printed in Old English font, and an old-fashioned Stingray bicycle was illustrated below that. I wore barely their flats for tennis shoes, some sort of Adidas or Puma style. Why I didn't wear my very favorite Fry boots, I don't know. Perhaps I didn't think the evening would take this turn. Or maybe I did, but didn't want to look like I was claiming to be someone I wasn't. I wore my Daisy Duke Fry boots out almost every other weekend, to all of the bars where they stood out most. But I didn't on this night. I'd considered dressing up a bit more, but had decided that I wanted to feel the very most comfortable and like myself as possible. I loved those jeans and that tee. My platinum bob and thinly black lined eyelids made my aqua eyes pop. He approached and asked me to dance, snapping me out of my lonely days and catching me completely off guard. Yeah, I stumbled the words from my mouth. I mean, yes, thank you, I said next, and a bit more put together, while setting my beer back down on the shelf. He was cute. Oh my gosh, what was happening, I wondered. Cute guys weren't ever the guys who asked me to dance here. Not ever. Cute guys were always here with someone, or at the very least, knew the cute country girls who belonged here and gravitated toward them. Not cute guys were the types who'd ask me to dance, and only after they'd had enough beer to work up the courage. The beer didn't work in their favor or in mine. Once they had enough courage to ask, they'd be extra clumsy, sweaty, and also seem to be drooling. This sounds rude and snotty on my end. It probably sounds dramatic, and probably is, being as I wasn't in the situation to be asked to dance often. Maybe why I'd not been asked to dance by a cute guy before was because I hadn't been alone. Maybe the not cute guys didn't care whether I was alone or not. Maybe a sympathy dance would be more likely to come from a girl who wasn't available. She could be kind and say yes when asked, and then sit back down next to her man when it was over. Everyone involved would see it for what it was. Those are the types of dances I'd handed out in this place in the past, all the while longing from my seat to be the girl being twirled around the dance floor by the cute guy. This guy, though, hadn't likely seen my ring from across the room, and there was no question whether or not I was alone. I stuck out like an alone sore thumb. If he had noticed my ring when he'd gotten close, he was already committed to asking, had been noticed by me, or didn't care. I didn't care. Henry wasn't there to dance with me and wouldn't have minded anyway. Turning down the offer to dance with a real, live, plus cute country boy was not something I was about to do, no matter how unnerving it was. I took the hand he held out to me in my right and followed him to the center of the dance floor. Butterflies carried me as the music started and as I fell fully into his lead. Without them, I'd still have been standing at the beer shelf. He swept me around the dance floor effortlessly. I didn't have to do anything. I'm not sure how we looked, but it felt like we looked amazing. I felt like one with him and like we belonged on that dance floor together. The brim of his white cowboy hat grazed my forehead like a feather as I'd turn my head to see where we were going. The contact, despite my hands already being in his, set my abdomen on fire. I finally gave in and let go of the need or want to see. I let him lead me and relaxed into him, trusting him. We exchanged a few words, lips so close to one another's ears in order to hear that I could feel his breath when he spoke. I could feel the warmth and energy from his skin reaching out to touch my lips when I'd respond. Oh my, I'm practically a pool of butter as I recall it, all of these years later. When the song came to an end, he thanked me for the dance and walked me back to the edge of the dance floor to my beer on the shelf. He disappeared into the dark and busy crowd, and I was drunk on the dance, still trying to figure out what had just happened. Nervously, I glanced around the room looking for a familiar face. Had anyone just seen that? I wondered if we'd looked ridiculous, but mostly just wanted to share my cute cowboy dance bliss with someone. Oh man, I found Amy and Anna and was happy to be hidden amongst friends and not in the vulnerable wide open anymore. They had seen the dance, the cowboy, and admitted to it with raised eyebrows. We stood at the bar-height table that was directly across from the bar itself. The feeling of elation that the dance cultivated in me left me glazed over with joy. Again, I had no idea how I looked, but I felt like I'd been washed with a smile and couldn't make it go away. Before I knew it, he was standing in front of me again. This time, neither of us said anything. I just left my beer with Amy and Anna, linking the fingertips of my right hand with his left, as I followed him through the crowd and back onto the dance floor. I learned this time that he was from Grand Junction. He'd had a delivery that brought him to town for the weekend. He'd delivered something, like a tractor or other piece of equipment. Ah, I thought, he's not from here. He doesn't know anyone, my mind rationalized. He was a stranger to town, went out to grab dinner, and naturally stopped by the country bar afterwards for a beer. Very few words were exchanged between us, but enough for each other's situations to be made clear. There wasn't any doubt at that point that he'd felt the ring on my left hand. I was married and out with the girls. He was from out of town and going home tomorrow. I'd a bit nervously stressed the detail of my being married and only being alone on account of the bachelorette party. I wasn't sure how good of a time he might be looking to have and felt called to be transparent about where ours would end. I fully expected that dance to be the last. He acknowledged the details I casually described by nodding subtly and then twirled me around the dance floor like I was an extension of him. We danced again and again. For the rest of the night, he'd emerge from the crowd and offer his hand. After each song, he'd always deliver me back to where he'd found me. We not once lingered on the dance floor or by the bar to talk. I'd shrug with the smile I'd been washed in when my friends would acknowledge my return with big, wondering eyes. The intro to The Thunder Rolls drifted through the speakers from across the room. Instinctively, I turned my head to glance in his direction without being conscious of where he was. He was ready for it and locked eyes with mine the moment they landed on him. I put my beer down and met him in stride, stepping straight into the song in sync with the melody, our energy coming together and moving as if muscle memory, but without a history to recall and with no future. Okay, I'm going to stop there. So big things like the said revelation comes next in this chapter. Tell me what you think. Do I sound... I swear the Billy Goat and this are like the only bar dancing, drinking scenes, unless there's something coming that I don't know about and haven't lived yet. But so that's not all of this book. Okay, so what I wonder feedback-wise is, do you want to know more? Do you want to keep reading? Do you wonder what led to that point? The thing that I really want feedback on is I had learned this from Bill, which is Valerie's husband, who I mentioned at the beginning of the video, who I will, if he will do me the honor of reading the first thing I'm ready to let somebody read, I will be forever grateful. But anyway, when we were talking about nonfiction books, like autobiographies and versus a memoir, so memoirs are usually creative nonfiction. So we're taking something that's real, but then, it reads like a novel or something. So there are certain details, and this is one of the reasons why I'm writing this now, because the edges are softening. Things aren't as clear. Details aren't as vivid. When I go to that place to recall these things, mostly what I'm recalling and mostly what I'm transferring, or what I hope to transfer, is feeling. Can you feel what I felt? What did I feel, and how can words describe that? But there are certain things, certain details are so clear. I know exactly what somebody was wearing or what I was wearing or whatever. And then some of it, I'm like, what would I have been wearing then? But I actually am not certain. So my point is that the song that I put there was A Thunder Rolls. Because that night there was a DJ, there wasn't a band. And so they were playing a lot of they like to play songs that people know well, are popular, good dance tunes and stuff like that. I don't really know if that's the song that played that particular dance, but the way that I structure, the way that it went with that guy that night, who I'd never seen before, never saw again, have no freaking idea what his name is, it went that way, but I don't know the song, which bugs me. I kind of would like to know the song, but it's, how relevant is it? I mean, do I want to think of him every time A Thunder Rolls, comes on? No, whatever. But so did that sound hokey to you? And because Thunder Rolls, it's all about what it's about, and so I wonder if that just takes a scene that maybe is sort of cheesy already and just pushes it right off the cheese cliff. And so if you have suggestions for other songs, you actually can think of songs that were likely played that night. I would just love to know that, because, or when a DJ at that bar plays even some pop music and stuff, what sorts of songs, I don't know. That's one of the things I actually, earlier in that in that scene. I have blanks written in a couple places because I wanted to use examples of songs, but I honestly, like, a song doesn't surface. Like, I don't know what those songs were that we were dancing to as a group of girls before everybody broke off and, into their clusters and were visiting with other people. And then I was left standing alone, blah, blah, blah. Here we go, you guys, 25-minute video. So I'd love a comment. I'd love to know how you are. So if you want to touch base with me and let me know how you are, like, via quarantine, that'd be great. And then if you've got feedback for the few that get through this very long video, I'd love the feedback, and really any feedback. But I mean, I obviously asked you for some specific feedback. So if you've got some, I'd love it. How was that, True Bug?
What?
Did you hear?
Yeah.
Is everything okay?
Yeah.
True gets pretty sensitive because there are sensitive things going on in the book, and so
that's so weird.
Yeah, so I had warned him that might be, he might not love to hear it. Anyway, so I hope you guys are well. I'll keep doing the work, and I will check in with you guys next week. Let me know if there's something you want me to talk about, or you want me to read some more. I mean, I feel like maybe I should read something real time. Real time's harder, though, because that's stuff I'm struggling with present, or like close to present, or not. I don't know. It's just harder. It's easier to read about 27-year-old me because that was almost 13 years ago, and things are very different now. I couldn't share what I was feeling that night. I couldn't share that then, or for a while.
Did Henry ever know about that?
Yeah. Henry knows all things. I feel like one of the things about this book that's important to me, because we've talked before, is like Henry's one of the people of my life. I feel like when I read these weird things like the Billy Goat scene in this one, it's like, again, it makes me just out to be the super crappy partner and person to Henry. And I wasn't my best self back then, but I was the best I could be at the time, and I've grown into who I am now. But I want to give a full, like, I feel like the story is relevant for just people. But I've always wanted to write it. Like, I might cry. I don't know, in honor of him and our time together, because everything, like, this book is just like my life, I guess, is just lived in love. Like, very simply, so there's been pain that has come. Oh my gosh, I am crying. There's been pain that's come with it, but I didn't want the story and these little fragments to just be left to dissolve in the universe. Like, I don't know, I just want the story, the whole story, to be there. And of course, it's all through it's my perception of the story. So there's always all the different sides of the story. So anyway, I'll let you guys go. This is insane. Bye, True Bug. Or wait, I guess I'm going to be right here with you. So bye.
Oh, this is so confusing.
I know. I can't even find my mouse right now. Okay.
It's right
here. I got it. Okay, bye, guys.